Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, a lot of people have been asking me, hey Dread, you've been pushing corruption really quickly. How the fuck do I push corruption quickly? Well, this video is for you. So, a lot of people have been pushing to 300 corruption and getting their initial 10 out of 10 Harbinger run done, and then they're like, okay, Dread, how the fuck do you push corruption after that? How do you do it quickly? Well, there are two routes. The first route is to already have a character in high corruption and utilize Confluence of Oblivion. This will make it so that you gain corruption the highest amount based on the highest amount of corruption that your account has, like the shared stash, i.e. like if you're in sole character found, it would only be your sole character found. But if you're in SSF, right, it would be shared across your characters. And if you're in the normal league, it'll be shared across your normal league characters, right? Cool. But I don't have my first character to 1,000 corruption. Well, then what do? Well, you're going to gather a few things. First things off, you are going to finish your 10 out of 10 Harbinger grind. I'll be leaving a link down below in the description on how to do that properly, but essentially there's a few things that you're going to want. Biggest thing is Harbinger, Needle drop chance, and Glyph of Envy drop chance. The reason why these are so important is because these are the ways that you push corruption. Once you use a Harbinger Needle, you get a bunch of Gaze of Orbis, and then of course you can also utilize Glyphs of Envy to get a bunch of stability. So you're going to use these two items in tandem to push yourself far. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your monolith that you want to push, and you're going to do one monolith. So we're going to go to Fallen Harbor here, and we're going to finish it. You do need to finish one monolith before you do anything. That is the first thing you need to do. The reason why you need to do this is so that your last monolith is the monolith that you want to push, which means that Glyphs of Envy work properly. So Glyph of Envy's only work on the last mono you pushed. So if I like clicked on an echo like from Spirits of Fire, it would give me stuff in Spirits of Fire, right? But if I did it in Age of Winter, it would be Age of Winter, vice versa, right? So you definitely want to go out of your way to choose which monolith that you want to push. Right now, I want to push Fall of the Outcast because there's some stuff I need to farm. There, we finished our first monolith. We're good to go. Very easy thing for your character to do, right? Very, very absurdly easy thing for your character to do. Now what? Well, now what you do is you take a shitty item. Usually, I just buy items from here with any amount of forging potential, right? I prepared some. Take it affix. Doesn't matter. Choose a random one. Bam. That just gave me 200 stability. The amount of forging potential the item has, the affixes, the base type, none of that matters. It is a random amount every single time you do this. And you get around 200 on average every single time. So bam, bam. And remember, you drop these off of Harbingers. You want to be killing Harbingers. And to maximize the drop chance of these is as you add modifiers to the monolith, to enemies, you'll increase their rarity. And this rarity will directly influence the boss's drops. So the higher the rarity of the boss going in, the more needles and envies that you will drop. Okay? That's very important. So if you want more needles and envies, add more modifiers to your boss. Okay? Now we have essentially pushed our stuff already, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go fight a Harbinger. That is currently what we're going to do. Harbinger plus boss, obviously, right? So we're going to go do that real quick. This one's pretty easy, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Like I said, you can use like whatever trash items you have access to as long as they have forging potential. Doesn't matter what items you use, just any item whatsoever. So remember, this is meant for after you're done with your 300 corruption grind and you do your 10 out of 10 Harbinger run. This is not meant for like your first character right off the beach or whatever. This is meant for like when you actually finish your Harbinger run and you're like, oh, I'm done with my first character's Harbinger run. Now I can start pushing corruption. This is what you do. All right, cool. So as you can see there, he dropped glyphs of envy. Very important. Those things and needles are very important for your progression. Oh my goodness, I just dropped a 2 LP1. Now you're going to leave. Then what you're going to do is, see, nothing has spawned yet. I have 2 Gaze of Oribus currently, and that is because I did not use a Harbinger Needle. But watch what happens when I use a Harbinger Needle. We're going to gain way more Gaze of Oribus. So make sure to put in a Harbinger Needle when you do this. Otherwise, you will not gain a bunch of Gaze of Oribus. And the whole point of this is to have a bunch of Gaze of Oribus, which I'll explain why when we get there. So we're going to do this again, but this time we're going to actually use a Harbinger Needle. Dread totally didn't forget to use it the first time. I just wanted to do that just to show you how much Gaze of Oribus you get without a Harbinger Needle. Totally was what Dread was trying to get at. As you can see, though, the rarity right now that we have means that the Harbinger isn't going to drop that much loot currently, but that's fine. As we put more and more into this, you get more and more out of it. That's the thing about this kind of thing. Corruption is an exponential gain. The more you do, the more you get. That is pretty much how this works. The more you do, the more you get. That is like exactly how this works. So the more you push into corruption, the more effort you put in and all that, the more you get. That is just, it's like a exponential game. So we're going to do this Harbinger real quick. Bam. Beautiful. Even more Glyphs of Envy. And remember, you also get boss drops and Harbinger eyes while you're also doing this as well. Was that World Tour really? Okay, we dropped that. All right, cool. Now we leave. Now we can see we only got 2 Gaze of Oribus last time. Now we're at 7. Now what you're going to do again is you're going to do it again. So we're going to do it again. We're going to get even more Gaze of Oribus here. Beautiful. All right, cool. And then we're going to do it again. And I believe it procs after 8 Gaze of Oribus, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's how many it takes. I will see here in a moment. Boop ba doop ba doop ba doo. Just waiting and killing the boss. Boop ba doop ba doop ba doo. Hey, A-Bomb, how's it going, buddy? Dude, this Fizz.Werebear build is already cracked. I can't wait to make a video on it when I'm finished with it. I can tell you guys, if you like this build, oh boy, it's so good. Boop. Here you go. There you go. Is that better? No. All right. Now, what will happen now is now that we have a bunch of Gaze of Oribus here, I think we have to do 1 extra monolith now. We have 12 Gaze of Oribus, and now that we have 12, I believe what we can do now is we can go and finish another monolith here, and something will happen, as you'll see here in a moment. We're going to finish this monolith real quick. But like I said, save your Glyphs of Envy and your Harbinger Needles for this initial grind. And then once you do that, you will be printing Harbinger Needles and stuff. Because once you get some Harbinger Needles and some Envies, they feed into themselves and you get more and more and more. As the higher corruption you push, the more stability you get. And the more stability you get, the more bosses you get. And the more bosses you get, the more needles you get. And the more needles you get, the more envies you get. And the more envies you get, the more bosses you get, etc. It all feeds into itself. Now he finishes that monolith. I believe he will spawn now. Here you go. Once you have more than 8 Gaze of Oribus on your mono, you will have a new Oribus. So we're going to go and kill him real quick. Hi, buddy. Sup, buddy? How are you doing, man? Sup, homie? There you go. Boop. Cool. Then we're gonna go back, and then if you had like more than that, or gaze of or once I think if I do this monolith, he'll actually spawn again. So we're gonna go and do this monolith real quick. Doing it live on camera here, you know. Just chilling with the boys and the girls right now. We're doing great. This werebear is doing absurdly well for how much investment I've put into it so far, considering I literally leveled this character today. We are absolutely blasting with the thing, and I'm absolutely loving it. And it is doing absurd amounts of damage already. Just literally starting the character. Definitely excited to show it to you guys once we make a video. The only problem is the clear is a little bit lackluster in comparison to the old Cold Werebear, but you really can't get everything with it, you know? There's only so much you can do. The new Ancestral Wolf MTX for Maelstrom looks insane. Makes this build a lot more flavorful, in my humble opinion, because if we were to turn it off, right, it would look very ugly. I think that looks ugly in my opinion. In my humble opinion, in comparison, right? So good thing. And you can also drop envies while farming monos too, by the way. Like they're not just from bosses. They can just drop from mono things. You can also kill lizards for them and stuff like that too. There's like a lot of different things, right? A lot of different things. All right, look at that. Another one. As long as you have 8 Gaze of Orbis, I believe, he will instantly spawn the moment you do 1 mono. So we're going to do him again. We're going to push up by another, I think another 50 or 60 corruption here. And this will work at any amount of corruption. You can be at 1,000 corruption and this would still work. As long as you have enough gaze, that's all that matters. And this is why glyphs of envy are so strong. And then now what we can do, look at that, we're at 216. And then I'm going to take this. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop. One more. Boop. Gonna do the boss again. And this time we're gonna put in another needle. Make sure to put in the needles, of course. Boop. Boop ba doop ba doo. Boop ba doop ba doo. Dude, this Maelstrom MTX is so fucking good, dude. I love it so much. I can't wait for the blood one too when it actually shows up in the shop one day. Maybe, hopefully. It is already in the shop. You just can't buy it right now for some reason. EHG, please. Let me give you money. Let me give you money, EHG, please. I'm not fire res capped. The only thing I need to do now on this character is make it like a little bit more tanky, and like we're pretty much good to go. Maybe improve the clear a little bit too. Get some area, some generic area on gloves and stuff like that could help out a lot. Now that I know that the character does enough damage and can face tank stuff, I can just focus on making it feel better. Because now we can put in the quality of life. Oh, I got hit by one of those. That was kind of funny. Collapsing Horizon is cool because that's extra harbingers. I'll take that. Boop. And then now we do a mono again. And then we should have even more. This is why you know, you can push a lot of corruption day 1 and day 2. Once you get the ball rolling in terms of the amount of shit that you have, like amount of envies and stuff, this is why I preach envies and harbinger needles so much, because they are pretty much the thing that allow you to choose your own difficulty in last epoch. If you choose so, you can push as much corruption as quickly as you want. As you can tell, like this is not taking me much time at all. The only reason it's taking me any relevant amount of time is because I am a werebear and I'm not fast. If you're like a character that had good movement speed, you could do this cycle very quickly and get a lot of corruption very quickly. Now, of course, I had a lot of envies and harbinger needles like saved up, but like I said, it is an exponential game. The more you do it, the more you get. The faster you do it, the more you get. And of course, the more you do it, the more you get. It's just how it is. Uh, Once you get into like the 500 realm, you're going to be doing like 5 rotations and you're going to immediately be at like 700 corruption. Then you're going to do another 5 rotations and be at another like you're gonna be like 900 corruption. Like you will feel the speed turn up so quickly and so fast. If you want to, you can go way far with this, very far. You can go as far as you want as long as you can handle it, as long as your character can handle the Oribus's that pop out every single time and the one mono that you have to do and the boss and all that. You can push this as much as you want, baby. It's amazing. Like this is why I herald Last Epoch as being one of the only games in the genre that allows you to choose your own difficulty very easily, because if you know what you're doing, you can just choose your own difficulty, which is very satisfying, obviously, right? Because a lot of other RPGs in the space, they, a lot of the progression that they do is dictated by what drops, while this, sure, like obviously needles and envies are not like the most common thing ever, but if you know what you're doing, you can get them very quickly by just spamming harbingers and stuff like that, and you will eventually get needles. And then, of course, I can keep repeating this process all the way up to 1,000 corruption. Fuck, even more than that. Now, remember, it'll be like I said, every 8 is when he spawns. When you have 8, he will spawn immediately. Now, with all that being said, this has been Dread. Off to go do something else. Have fun, guys.